Well, it was pretty active. I was involved in netball, gymnastics, rugby, swimming. So lots of active things. But then when I got to about sort of 11, starting secondary school, it got harder and harder to do all of those things. I was finding I was really tired and I just couldn't keep up. I've been in a lot of pain, and I just got told, oh no, it's growing pains, oh you'll grow out of it, all of that sort of thing. So it was quite difficult actually, because there were so many things I wanted to do that I couldn't, but I didn't know why. And it was, I think, more frustrating than anything. Being from a big family, a big, very active family, it affects my family life in that I can't, like, we like walking a lot. We go to the Isle of Skye and the Isle of Arran on holiday, and there'll be days where I just can't do anything, and like everybody else is out enjoying the mountains, going on hikes, and I have to stay at home. Or there'll be, when I do go out, we can't go for as longer walks as we'd like. We can't go, we have to stop every now and then, and they do that because, you know, they love me, they like spending time with me, but it means that they can't go out and do quite as much.
Well, it was confusing because she was often quite tired, and whenever she did a bit of exercise, she'd complain of things like sore knees and sore feet, and we didn't really know why.
I think we became aware that she was quite mobile in her joints, but didn't really consider it was overly important, that she just needed to be careful of herself. So yeah, we weren't sure what was going on or whether there was really a problem at all, but it wasn't until she got a little bit older that it became apparent that there were more problems. Well, it helps us understand better what she went through when she was a child, and obviously we worry for her as she gets older and does things, because she can hurt herself very easily, and we know she has to take a lot of medication and pain, look after herself carefully, and she is in a lot of pain from quite often. As far as being her parents, we just have to look after her and care for her and be there for her.
So knowing that she's got the EDS helps us, because we can put it in context and obviously do some research and find out things that can help us help her, and a better understanding of it helps us, even if it's just knowing how to react when she does get in pain and things.
My sort of way of coping with it is going, well, at some point you're not going to be able to do all this stuff, so do it now. Push through the pain, deal with it, and I'm quite good at doing that, but there are days when I just can't cope with it, and it does affect my life quite a lot actually, but I think it's made me into a better person, because I've had to, like, I wanted to be a professional musician. I auditioned for conservatoires, I got offered places.
I just had to spend time, listen to Rachael, understand what her worries and concerns were, and help support her to help herself, which is an important thing. It's really important she didn't become dependent on us, but that we helped her to be able to manage the condition for herself. It was very hard for her, wasn't it?
It was, because it was an important part of her life. So, and she had to work out how she was on a music course at university. Performance was a big part of that, and she was doing well, but then she was finding it hard to keep up the standard of music that she'd been playing. So it's hard for her, and we had to find a way of supporting her.
And now I found an area of academic research that I'm really, really interested in, and I've sort of completely changed to that, which is something that I could do from my bed if I had to. Like, it's something that's not physically demanding, so that's all right. But the whole having one path and then having to completely change what you're doing just because of your health, it's quite difficult, and I think having to overcome that has given me a much sort of better view of life in general.
Some other physical things we did, such as getting the little hook on the back of her oboe so that she didn't have to bear the weight of her oboe and just keep dislocating her thumb. So that's helped her now start to get back into playing again. Over the past 6 months or so, she's found that not having to support the weight of her oboe, she can start to play again.
Obviously, like, the pain is the main thing, but yeah, it's just like the inconvenience of having dislocations all the time. It's like it sets me back when I'm doing sport, when I'm doing music, when I'm have an essay and I have a dislocation the night before and I have to go to A&E. Like, it's just, I always say it's an inconvenience, but obviously, like, it's more than that. And the pain is, like, constant as well. But it's also with the lack of knowledge of people not understanding that you're in pain makes it slightly more difficult to deal with. Well, for me, as a gymnast and as a musician, the extra flexibility is nice. And the extra flexibility in my hands is very nice. And also it's kind of made me who I am. Like, having to sort of overcome obstacles and like learn to deal with dislocations. I've kind of not made a joke at it, but when I have a dislocation I'm like, oops, pop it back in. It's made me a more light-hearted person. It's definitely made me more positive and made me who I am. It's made me bubbly. It's made me quite conscious, because I'm quite lucky to not have EDS that bad. It's more like just hypermobility type, and when you see so although I'm in pain all the time, I'm like, this could be so much worse. There are people out there with vascularids who like have like their arteries rupture and like it's an awful thing. So I guess I kind of like, oh, I'm gonna just take life and run with it because it could be so much worse.
Right, so I've got hypermobility type. So there's 7 different types. Hypermobility type is the most common type. What it is a genetic mutation. So there's a mutation in the gene that forms collagen, which is the thing that makes your muscles and all your connective tissue elastic. So it's a multisystemic disorder, which means it affects everything. And the different types are different mutations. Even though my type's the most common, it's actually the only type that they haven't found the exact genetic mutation for. So there isn't actually a genetic test.
It always makes it a lot more difficult if there's not a blood test that can be done to detect something, or some sort of physiological test.
It's one of those conditions that there's a wide spectrum of effects, and what the medics have to do is just build a picture with all of these different things, like the ulcers and the hypermobility, being able to be very flexible in the joints, and then some of the other things such as dislocations, and all that builds a picture for them that allows them to give a diagnosis.
Definitely most of the others, there is a genetic test for it. Basically, the biggest aspect of my type is joints. So I dislocate things on a regular basis, which causes a lot of pain constantly. So I take lots of pain medication. I actually dislocated my shoulder a couple of days ago and have it all taped up. My thumb dislocates when I'm writing, when I'm playing my oboe. My knees pop out of place. I'll wake up with my hip out of place every now and then. My toes dislocate whilst I'm walking, that sort of thing, you know. Generally my muscles it takes my muscles a lot of extra work.